Hello, everybody. I am here with Desiree Schell for Secular Women Work. Desiree will be one of our speakers in August, and this is a little video we're recording to help you get to know Desiree better and figure out why you want to come to this conference. So, Desiree, you are my go-to person when I have activist-y type questions. You were born an activist, right? I mean, this all comes to you naturally. You started with all this knowledge, right?
No. No, not at all. Although my mother would tell you that I did come out a feminist.
I think my mother would say the same thing about me. Yep. Okay, so how did you end up involved in activism?
That is a good question. Again, back to my mother. She will tell you a story about when I was watching some kind of labor movie on TV. She can't remember what it was about, probably coal miners. And in the middle of the program, I became almost violently angry and stood up in the middle of the family viewing and was stomping my feet and saying, "That's not fair." And I think I just carried that forward. Yeah.
Yeah. So is this what you've been doing all of your professional life, or?
For the majority of it, I have done, when I was younger, I worked with Greenpeace, and that's actually where I developed my understanding of class, funny enough. But I have fairly focused on sort of class politics and the class struggle for the majority of my life.
And for people who don't know you, what is it that you do for a living?
I actually run the organizing department in Alberta's largest public sector union. I believe we have 90-some thousand members at this point.
And what does it mean to be an organizing department? Don't unions, aren't they just organized?
Oh, that would be great. I dream those dreams. No. Basically what our organizing department does is sort of twofold. There's internal and external organizing. So external organizing is when people call you and they tell you they need a union, and you go out to meet them and you talk about what that means, becoming unionized, and you help them go through all of the various horrible Alberta labor laws to become a union. And then there's internal organizing, which is basically the members that we already have, helping them to become more active and mobilized and take advantage of their voice.
All right, and you have been helping out the secular and skeptic movements with information on organizing for a long time, and you're the host of, one of the hosts now, of the Science for the People radio show. How did you end up in skepticism?
I like critical analysis and critical thinking, and I would love if people could use it in every aspect of their life. I'm a very active member of the labor movement because I think through analyzing the situations and using critical analysis that those things are the right thing to do to bring about an equitable or more equitable society. And I think that there's a lot of parallels between the labor movement and secular issues. We are quite often working against the government, working against employers. There are, and the tactics are the same. You've got angry people whose rights are being trodden on, and regardless of what your issue is, you can use the same methods to put pressure on the people that can actually affect change.
And so you've been teaching activists, as I said, for years. What are some of the topics that you've covered?
Oh gosh. Basically what I want is just people to be better activists. I meet a lot of people all the time in both of my communities, both secularism and labor, that they have issues about things and they want to change them and they don't exactly know how. I can teach the how. I can't teach the want. So if people come to me and they want to change things, I can help them with those. So mostly what I teach is just really practical, tangible skills. Somebody else can take on the philosophy. That's not my area. I love it. but I am very pragmatic about social change. And sometimes well, this is one of the reasons why I really promote single issue campaigns, because I have never met a single person in the world that I agree with 100% about everything. But if you can find one or a group of people, not you, almost, Stephanie, almost.
Okay.
But I think that if you can find common ground on one single issue, you can actually do a lot of good, and you can build a campaign with people of like minds around that one issue, and potentially I say this, and I don't mean to sound trite, but I think you can change the world in very small ways, incremental change, right? Someone said that at one point.
Yeah.
Slow, incremental change.
All right. And do you want to give a brief rant on measuring your effectiveness? Because I know you have opinions on this issue.
God, people. I understand and I value the idea of raising awareness, but that is not enough. We have to have tangible outcomes, objective goals that we can actually reach to show that we're making any change at all. I love that people will start a Facebook group and they'll have 500 some members and they'll say, "See, people care." Great. And that is great. That's a great start. But how do you know if you're actually affecting change if you don't actually build into your entire plan the things that you're going to measure success by? And sometimes that is media hits. But more often, it's things that you can measure on the way to actually achieving your goal. And achieving your goal should be the goal, not just having an event. And sometimes those things are good too. Sometimes you just want people to come into your group. Sometimes you want to be able to say, people now know about this issue, and they didn't before. But that's not enough for me. I want to win.
I'm so tempted to cut this right there because that's such a beautiful statement, but no.
But I do, right?
No, that's perfect.
We have to keep that in mind. I feel like sometimes our dreams aren't big enough. You know, we can win, but there are steps we have to take, and measuring our outcomes is one of those steps.
No, and I was just saying on a Free Thought Blogs FDB Conscience panel last weekend about that it's okay to enjoy winning too. So.
Oh yeah, that's those little wins too, though. Not just, and that's another reason that you want to build benchmarks in these measurable outcomes, because every time you reach one of those, you can celebrate. And who doesn't want to celebrate? It keeps people motivated. It keeps people engaged. And it gives you an opportunity to go out and get drunk if that's your thing. Some people's things.
So, yeah, that never happens at like conferences. No. So, speaking of conferences, you've spoken at a bunch. You've spoken at a bunch talking about practical skills and the things we need to do as activists, all that kind of stuff. Is there anything that you don't see people talking about that maybe you'd like to see us focus on at this conference?
Besides measurable outcomes?
I promise we'll do that one. Besides that.
Well, that's actually one of the things I really like about this conference is that I don't know if you've outright mentioned intersectionality, but that's something that's really important to me because, again, my focus is always going to be class forever. But you deeply have to understand that race and gender and ability and cisnormity and everything, they play a role. And if you don't actually take those into account, you are going to have crappy campaigns. Like, I'm not even talking about the ethical and moral issues in regards to that. I am talking about pure practicality. If you don't take intersectionality into account, you're going to have crappy campaigns because there's going to be people that you could really utilize that will not engage because they don't see themselves reflected. And that's a huge issue. And studies continually show that the more minds of varying experiences and backgrounds that you have when you're planning something to begin with, the more you have them involved, the better outcomes you have. You can see things from angles that a whole bunch of white folks, white dudes, sitting in a room they're just not going to come up with, because that's just not part of their background and experiences. So yes, let's get other folks involved because they have things to say and contribute, and yeah.
Yeah, I can get behind that. All right. Well, we don't want to keep you too long. We definitely appreciate your time, but we will see you in August, everybody. Desiree Schell.
And thanks very much for inviting me, Stephanie. This is a great idea, and I'm really appreciative, just on behalf of, the world, that you're doing this.
Aw, thanks, Desiree.